As I went home on a Monday night, as drunk could be, I saw a horse outside the door, where my old horse should be. Well, I called me wife and I said to her, will you kindly tell to me, who owns that horse outside the door, where my old horse should be? You're drunk, you silly old fool, till you cannot see. That's a lovely sow that me mother sent to me. Well, it's many a day I travelled 100 miles or more, but a saddle on a sow, sure I never saw before. And as I went home on a Tuesday night, as drunk could be, I saw a coat behind the door, where my old coat should be. Well, I called me wife and I said to her, will you kindly tell to me, who owns that coat behind the door, where my old coat should be? You're drunk, you silly old fool, till you cannot see. That's a woolen blanket that me mother sent to me. Well, it's many a day I travelled 100 miles or more, but buttons in a blanket, sure I never saw before. And as I went home on a Wednesday night, as drunk could be, I saw a pipe upon the chair, where my old pipe should be. Well, I called me wife and I said to her, will you kindly tell to me, who owns that pipe upon the chair, where my old pipe should be? You're drunk, you silly old fool, till you cannot see. That's a lovely tin whistle that me mother sent to me. Well, it's many a day I travelled 100 miles or more, but tobacco in a tin whistle, sure I never saw before. And as I went home on a Thursday night, as drunk could be, I saw two boots beneath the bed, where my old boots should be. Well, I called me wife and I said to her, will you kindly tell to me, who owns them boots beneath the bed, where my old boots should be? You're drunk, you silly old fool, till you cannot see. They're two lovely geranium pots me mother sent to me. Well, it's many a day I travelled 100 miles or more, but laces in geranium pots I never saw before. And as I went home on a Friday night, as drunk could be, I saw a head inside the bed, where my old head should be. Well, I called me wife and I said to her, will you kindly tell to me, who owns that head with you in the bed, where my old head should be? You're drunk, you silly old fool, till you cannot see. That's a baby boy that me mother sent to me. Well, it's many a day I travelled 100 miles or more, but a baby boy with his whiskers on I never saw before. I remember the night that he came in from the wintry cold and damp, a giant of a man in an oilskin coat, and the bundle that told he was a tramp. He stood at the bar and he called a pint, then turned and gazed at the fire. On a night like this, to be safe and dry is my one and only desire. So here's to those that are dead and gone, the friends that I love dear. And here's to you, and I bid you adieu. St. Donegal Danny's been here, me boys. Donegal Danny's been here. Then in a voice that was hushed and low, he said, listen, I'll tell you a tale, how a man of the sea became a man of the roads, and never more will set sail. I fished out of Howth and Killybegs, Ardglass and Baltimore, but the cruel sea has beaten me, and I'll end my days on the shore. So here's to those that are dead and gone, the friends that I love dear. And here's to you, and I'll bid you adieu, saying Donegal Danny's been here, me boys, Donegal Danny's been here. One fateful night in the wind and the rain, we set sail from Kimmage town. There were 5 of us from sweet Donegal, and 1 from County Down. We were fishermen who worked the sea, and never counted the cost. But I never thought ere that night was done that my fine friends would all be lost. So here's to those that are dead and gone, the friends that I love dear. And here's to you, and I'll bid you adieu, St. Donegal Danny's been here, me boys, Donegal Danny's been here. Then the storm it broke and drove the boat to the rocks about 10 miles from shore. As we fought the tide, we hoped inside to see our homes once more. Then we struck a rock and hauled the bow, and all of us knew that she'd go down. So we jumped right into the icy sea and prayed to God we wouldn't drown. But the raging sea was rising still as we struck out for the land. And she fought with all her cruelty to claim that gallant band. By St. John's Point in the early dawn, I dragged myself on the shore, and I cursed the sea for what she'd done, and vowed to sail her nevermore. So here's to those that are dead and gone, the friends that I love dear. And here's to you, and I'll bid you adieu, St. Donegal Danny's been here, me boys, Donegal Danny's been here. Ever since that night I've been on the road, travelling and trying to forget that awful night I lost all my friends. I see their faces yet, and often at night when the sea is high and the rain is tearing at my skin, I hear the cries of drowning men floating over on the wind. So here's to those that are dead and gone, the friends that I love dear. And here's to you, and I'll bid you adieu, St. Donegal Danny's been here, me boys, Donegal Danny's been here. So here's to those that are dead and gone, the friends that I love dear. And here's to you, and I'll bid you adieu, St. Donegal Danny's been here, me boys, Donegal Danny's been here. You may travel from Clare to the county Kildare, from Dublin right down to Mcgory. But where would you see a fine widow like me, Biddy Mulligan, the pride of the combe? I'm a scrap of a widow that lives in a place in Dublin that's known as the combe. And me comfort and ease, you know, king could excel, though me palace consists of one room. Be Patrick Street corner for 35 years, I stood by me stall, that's no lie. And while I stood there, there was no one would dare to say black was the white of me eye. You may travel from Clare to the county Kildare, from Dublin right down to Mcgory. And where would you see a fine widow like me, Biddy Mulligan, the pride of the comb. I sell apples and oranges, nuts and split peas, bullseyes and sugar sticks sweet. On a Saturday night I sell second-hand clothes from me stall on the floor of the street. Now I have a son Mick and he plays on the fife. He belongs to the Longford Street Band. It would do your heart good just to see them march out of a Sunday to Sandymount Strand. You may travel from Clare to the County Kildare, from Dublin right down to Mcgory. And where would you see a fine widow like me? Biddy Mulligan, the pride of the comb. Me boys, Biddy Mulligan, the pride of the comb. Tim Finnegan lived in Walking Street, a gentleman Irish mighty odd. He had a brogue both rich and sweet, and to rise in the world he carried a hod. But Tim had a bit of a tibbler's way, for the love of the liquor he was born, and to send him on his way each day he'd love with a crayter every morn. Whack full of that when you dance to your partners around the floor with your trouble shake. Isn't it the truth? I tell you, lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. One morning Tim was rather full. His old head felt heavy which made him shake. He fell off the ladder and he broke his skull, and they carried him home, his corpse to wake. Oh, they wrapped him up in a nice clean sheet, and they laid him out upon the bed, with a bottle of whiskey at his feet and a bottle of porter at his head. Whack full of that when you dance to your partners around the floor with your trouble shake. Isn't it the truth? I tell you, lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. Well, his friends assembled at the wake, and Mrs. Finnegan called for lunch. Well, first she brought them tea and cake, then pipes, tobacco and brandy punch. Then the widow Malone began to cry. Ah, such a lovely corpse did you never see? Was it Tim of Orden and why did you die? Well, you held your gobs as Muddy McGee. Whack full of that when you dance to your partners around the floor with your trucker shake. Isn't it the truth? I tell you, lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. Oh, well, Mary Murphy took up the job. Ah, Biddy She, you're wrong, I'm sure. Oh, well, Biddy fetched her a belt and a gob, and left her sprawling on the floor. Oh, Civil War did then engage, but woman to woman and man to man. Shillelagh law was all the rage, and a row and a ruction it soon began. Whack full of that when you dance to your partners around the floor with your furrow shake. Isn't it the truth? I tell you, lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. Well, Mick Malone, he ducked his head when a bottle of whiskey flew at him. He ducked and landing on the bed, the whiskey scatters over Tim. I'll be daddy revived and see how he rises. Tim Finnegan rising in the bed, saying 20 your whiskey around like blazes. Be the tunted and Jesus, did you think I was dead? Whack full of that when you dance to your partner around the floor with your thunder shake. Isn't it the truth? I tell you, lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. How would your old one? Hey, ball! Me loyal subjects, she, here's me best respects, she. And I'm proud this day, she, of the elegant way, she, that you gave me the hand, she, when I come to the land, she. There were some people said, she, they were greatly in dread, she. I'd be murdered or shot, she, as like as not, she. But it's mighty clear, she, that it's not over here, she, that I have cause to fear, she. It's them Belgians, she, that's throwing the bombs, she, and frightening the life, she, out of the son and the wife, she. But in these parts, she, they have warm hearts, she, and they all like me well, she, barring that on a Parnell, she. I don't know Edel, she, what's come over the Gedel, she. Another one, she, that Maud gone, she, dressing in black, she, to welcome me back, she. Now Maud will write, she, that I brought the blight, she, or changed the season, she, for my own private reasons, she. And I think there's a slate off of that Willie Yates, she. He should be at home, she, French polishing his poems, she, instead of writing letters, she, about his betters, she, and parade me crimes, she, in the earliest times, she. Ah, but what does it matter, she? All this magpie chatter, she. When I heard the welcoming roar, she, coming up from the shore, she, right over the foam, she. Sure, it was like coming home, she. And me heart fairly glowed, she, along the rock road, she, and into Butterstown, she, and be merrying round, she. until I come to the ridge, she, of the Leeson Street Bridge, she, and was greeted in style by the beautiful smile of me Lord Mayor Pyle, she. Faith, if it had done right, she, I'd have made him a knight, she. And I needn't repeat, she, how they cheered in each street, she, till I come to them lads, she. Don't you know them undergrads, she? Oh, and indeed, she. I got many a Godspeed, she. But nothing to compare, she, with what I got here, she. So pass the jug, she, and I'll fill each mug, she. And I'll give you a toast, she, at which you may boast, she. Now I've a pair of sons, she, all sorts of ones, she. Some as quiet as cowards, she. Some always in rows, she. And the one that causes the most trouble, she, sure the mother loves double, she. So here's to the men, she, that's gone in to win, she, that's clearing the way, she, to Pretoria today, she. In the gap of danger, she, there's a Connacht Ranger, she. And a Fusilier not far, she, from the heart of the war, she. And they may talk a lot, she. And them furden baboons, she, may draw their cartoons, she. But there's one thing they'll never draw, she, and that's the lion's claw, she. For before our flag is fuddled, she, we'll own the woodled, she. Raised on songs and stories, heroes of renown, the passing tales and glories that once was Dublin town. The hallowed halls and houses, the haunting children's rhymes, that once was part of Dublin in the rare old times. Ring a rosy, as the light declines, I'll remember Dublin city in the rare old times. Oh, me name it is Sean Dempsey, Dublin as could be, born hard and late in Pimlico, in a house that ceased to be. By trade I was a cooper, lost out to redundancy, like my house that fell to progress, my trade's a memory. And I courted Peggy Dignan, as pretty as you please, a rogue and a child of Mary, from the rebel liberties. I lost her to a student chap, with skin as black as coal, when he took her off to Birmingham, she took away my soul. Ring a rosy, as the light declines, I'll remember Dublin city in the rare old times. Oh, the years have made me bitter, the gargle dims me brain, 'cause Dublin keeps on changing and nothing seems the same. The pillar and the met have gone, the royal long since pulled down, as the grey unyielding concrete makes a city of my town. Ring a rosy, as the light declines, I remember Dublin city in the rare old times. Fare thee well, sweet Anna Liffey, I can no longer stay and watch the new glass cages that spring up along the quay. My mind's too full of memories, too old to hear new chimes. I'm a part of what was Dublin in the rare old times. Ring-a-ring-a-rosy, as the light declines, I'll remember Dublin city in the rare old times. Ring-a-ring-a-rosy, as the light declines, I'll remember Dublin city in the rare old times. Hey, Johnny Mcgory, tell me where's your glory gone? I saw you up in the Monto with your old leg gone. A dirty Flanders bullet should have left you half a man. Hey, Johnny Mcgory, where's your old leg gone? Up the Sally Gardens, around the back of the pipes, messing with the Liberty Bells, a man could lose his stripes. Trading on your troubles and grabbing every chance to show the randy old ones all the things you learned in France. Hey, Johnny Mcgory, tell me where's your glory gone? I saw you up in the Monto with your old leg gone. A dirty Flanders bullet sure had left you half a man. Hey, Johnny Mcgory, where's your old leg gone? Up the Gloucester Diamond, Red Biddy on your mind. Not a tosser in your pocket, not a soul you could remind. The Lord knows you're a darling, you never did give in. Your neck's as hard as concrete and your laugh's a mortal sin. Hey, Johnny Mcgory, tell me where's your glory gone? I saw you up in the Monto with your old leg gone. A dirty Flanders bullet sure had left you half a man. Hey, Johnny Mcgory, where's your old leg gone? Monday in the ivy, Tuesday in the dregs, Wednesday's walking wounded, Thursday's soldier begs, Friday's heroes on the touch, and Saturday's lost again. How it's Sunday's good intention, sure, we'll start the week again. Hey, Johnny Mcgory, tell me where's your glory gone? I saw you up in the Monto with your old leg gone. A dirty Flanders bullet should have left you half a man. Hey, Johnny Mcgory, where's your old leg gone? I remember in September when the final stumps were drawn, and the shouts of crowds now silent when the boys to tea had gone. Let us, O Lord above us, remember simple things when all are dead who love us, oh the captains and the kings. When all are dead who love us, oh the captains and the kings. We have many goods for export, Christian ethics and old port, but our greatest boast is that the Anglo-Saxon is a sport. When the darts game is finished and the boys their game of rings, and the draughts and chess relinquished, oh the captains and the kings. And the draughts and chess relinquished, oh the captains and the kings. Far away in dear old Cyprus, or in Kenya's dusty land, where all bear the white man's burden in many a strange land. As we look across our shoulder in West Belfast, the school bell rings, and we sigh for dear old England and the captains and the kings. And we sigh for dear old England and the captains and the kings. In our dreams we see old Harrow, and we hear the crow's loud caw. At the flower show our big Marrow takes the prize from Evelyn Waugh. Cups of tea and some dry sherry, vintage cars, these simple things. So let's drink up and be merry for the captains and the kings. So let's drink up and be merry for the captains and the kings. As I wandered in a nightmare all around Great Windsor Park, now what do you think I found there as I wandered in the dark? 'Twas an apple half bitten and sweetest of all things, 5 baby teeth had written of the captains and the kings. 5 baby teeth had written of the captains and the kings. By the moon that shines above us in the misty morning night, let us cease to run ourselves down and praise God that we are white. And better still are English tea and toast and muffin rings, and old ladies with stern faces, and the captains and the kings. Old ladies with stern faces, and the captains and the kings.
In comes the train and the whole platform shakes, stops with a shudder and a screaming of brakes. The parting has come and my weary soul aches. I'm leaving my Nancy O. But you stand there so calmly, determinedly gay. You talk of the weather and events of the day, and your eyes tell me all that your tongue doesn't say. Goodbye, my Nancy O. And come a little closer, put your head upon my shoulder, and let me hold you one last time before the whistle blows. My suitcase is lifted and stowed on the train, and 1,000 regrets whirl around in my brain. The ache in my heart is a black sea of pain. I'm leaving my Nancy O. But you stand there beside me, so lovely to see. The grip of your hand is an unspoken plea. You're not fooling yourself, and you're not fooling me. Goodbye, my Nancy O. And come a little closer, put your head upon my shoulder, and let me hold you one last time before the whistle blows. But our time has run out and the whistle had blown. Here I must leave you, standing alone. We had so little time, and now the time's gone. Goodbye, my Nancy O. And as the train starts gently to roll, and as I lean out to wave and to call, I see the first tears trickle and fall. Goodbye, my Nancy, oh. And come a little closer, put your head upon my shoulder, and let me hold you one last time before the whistle blows. And let me hold you one last time before the whistle blows.
Oh, a hungry feeling came o'er me stealing, and the mice were squealing in my prison cell. And the Auld Triangle went jingle-jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. To begin the morning, the screw was bawling, "Get up, you bowsy, and clean up your cell." And the Auld Triangle went jingle-jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. Now the screw was peeping as the lag lay sleeping, dreaming about his girdle sow. And the Auld Triangle went jingle-jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. Up in the female prison there are 75 women, and among them now I wish I did dwell. Then that Auld Triangle could go jingle-jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. All along the banks of the Royal Canal. Come all you gallant poachers that ramble void of care, that walk out on a moonlight night with your dog and gun and snare, the hare and lofty pheasant you have at your command, never thinking of your last career upon Van Dieman's land. Poor Jackie Brown from Nina Town, Jack Murphy and poor Joe were three determined poachers, as the country well does know. By the keepers of the land, brave boys, one night they were trepanned, and for 14 years transported unto Van Dieman's land. On the first day that we landed upon that fatal shore, the planters gathered round us, there might be 20 score. They ranked us off like horses, and they sold us out of hand, and they yoked us to the plough, brave boys, for the plough Van Dieman's land. There was a girl from Nina Town, Peg Brophy was her name. For 14 years transported was for playing of the game, but our planter bought her freedom, and he wed her out of hand. Now she gives to us good usage upon Van Dieman's land. Oh, I wish I had £1,000 all laid out in my hand. I'd give it all for liberty, if that I could command. And I'd return to Ireland, and I'd be a happy man. And I'd say goodbye to poaching boys and to Van Dieman's land.
Which way will the branch bend when there's no wind left to blow? Which way will the river run when there's nowhere left to go? What do we tell the children when they start to ask us why? And where are the keepers who bled the whole thing dry? What kind of air are we to breathe when there's none to take in? What kind of soil do we turn over when the fallout's been? What do we tell the children when they start to ask us why? And where are the keepers who bled the whole thing dry? When do you think they'll tell us? Don't they know that we know too? When do you think they'll listen to the likes of me and you? What do we tell the children when they start to ask us why? And where are the keepers who bled the whole thing dry? Kind of rain will fall on a land that's dead and gone? And what kind of flowers will look up for the sun? What do we tell the children when they start to ask us why? And where are the keepers who bled the whole thing dry? What colour will the leaves be? A darker shade of brown? Is this the kind of legacy to leave to the unborn? What do we tell the children when they start to ask us why? And where are the keepers who bled the whole thing dry? Which way will the branch bend when there's no wind left to blow? Which way will the river run when there's nowhere left to go? What do we tell the children when they start to ask us why? And where are the keepers who bled the whole thing dry? And where are the keepers who bled the whole thing dry?
Come listen to me for a while, me good friends one and all, and I'll sing to you a verse or two about a famous ball. Now the ball was given by some friends who lived down in Ash Street, in a certain house in the Liberties where the Ragman used to meet. Well, the names were called at 7 o'clock, and every man was on the spot. And to show respect for the management, every Ragman brought his mutt. I must admit that I brought mine at 25 minutes to 8, and the first to stand up was Kieran Grace for to tell me I was late. When up jumps Humpy Soodlum, and he says, I think somehow beat the ways are all going on tonight is all looking for a row. Now listen here, Grace, if you want your face, you better not shout or bawl. There's a lot of hard chaws going to be here tonight to respect the Ragman's ball. Well, for eating we had plenty now, as much as we could hold. We drank Brady's lupine porter until round the floor we rolled. In the midst of all the confusion, someone shouted for a song. When up jumps old Dunlavin and sings, keep rolling your barrel along. Then says my one, you're a queer one now, and Biddy you're hard to beat. Oh, when up jumps Liza Boland, and she told her the whole her prate. Then my one made a cloud at her, she missed her and hit the wall, and the two of them went to the ambulance the night of the Ragman's ball. Then we all sat down to some ham pairings when everything was quiet. And for broken noses I must say, we had a lovely night. Black eyes, they were in great demand, not to mention split heads and all. So if anyone wants to commit suicide, let him come to the Ragman's ball.
Oh, thunder and lightning is no lark when Dublin city is in the dark. So if you've any money, go up to the park and view the Zoological Gardens. We went up there to see the zoo. We saw the lion and the kangaroo. There was females and she-males of every hue up in the Zoological Gardens. We went out there be Castle Knock. She to me, she will court on the lock. Then I knew she was one of the rare old stock from outside the Zoological Gardens. Oh, thunder and lightning is no lark when Dublin city is in the dark. So if you've any money, go up to the park and view the Zoological Gardens. We went up there on our honeymoon. She to me, if you don't come soon, I'll have to get in with the hairy baboon up in the Zoological Gardens. Says she to me, it's 7 o'clock, and it's time for me to be changing me frock, for I'd love to see that old cockatoo up in the Zoological Gardens. Says she to me, me lovely Jack, sure I'd love a ride on the elephant's back. If you don't get a word that I'll give you such a smack up in the Zoological Gardens. Well, thunder and lightning is no lark when Dublin city is in the dark. So if you've any money, go up to the park and view the Zoological Gardens. Oh, if you've got a wing, oh, take her up to Ringo, where the waxy sing, oh, all the day. If you had your fill of porter and you can't go any further, give your man the order, back to the quay. And take her up to Monto, Monto, Monto. Take her up to Monto, Langaroo. To you. Oh, you heard of the buckshot Foster, the dirty owl imposter. He took his mutton, lost her, up the furry glen. He first put on his bowler, then he buttoned up his trousers, and he whistled for a growler, and he said, my man, take me up to Monto, Monto, Monto. Take me up to Monto, Langaroo. To you. Well, you heard of the Dublin Fusiliers, the dirty old bamboozeliers. They went to get the childer. 1, 2, 3. Marching from the Linen Hall, there's one for every cannonball, and Vicky's going to send yous all o'er the sea. But first go up to Monto, Monto, Monto. First go up to Monto, Langaroo. To you. Well, Carey told and skinned the goat, O'Donnell put him on the boat. He never should have been afloat, the dirty skite. It wasn't very sensible to tell on the Invincibles. They stood up for the principles day and night. Be going up to Monto, Monto, Monto. Going up to Monto, Langaroo. To you. Now when the Tsar of Russia and the King of Prussia landed in the Phoenix Park in a big balloon, they asked the Polish band to play the wedding in the green. But the buggers in the depot didn't know the tune, so they all went up to Monto, Monto, Monto. They all went up to Monto, Langaroo. To you.
The Queen, she came to calling us. She wanted to see all of us. I'm glad she didn't fall on us. She's 80 stone. Well, Mr. Me, Lord Mayor, she is this all you've got to show to me? Why, no, ma'am, there's some more to see. Og Mahowan, and he took her up to Monto, Monto, Monto. He took her up to Monto, Langaroo. To you, well, if you've got a wing, oh, take her up to Ringo, where the waxy sing, oh, all the day. If you had your fill of porter and you can't go any further, give your man the order, back to the quay, and take her up to Monto, Monto, Monto. Take her up to Monto, Langaroo. To you.
When I was a young man, I carried me pack, and I lived the free life of the rover. From the Murray's green basin to the dusty outback, I waltzed my Matilda all over. Then in 1915, me country said, son, it's time to stop rambling, there's work to be done. So they gave me a tin hat and they gave me a gun, and they sent me away to the war. And the band played Waltzing, Matilda, when the ship pulled away from the quay. And amid all the tears, flag waving and cheers, we sailed off for Gallipoli. Oh, it's well I remember that terrible day when our blood stained the sand and the water, and how in that hell they called Suvla Bay we were butchered like lambs at the slaughter. Johnny Turk, he was ready, he'd primed himself well. He rained us with bullets and he showered us with shell, and in 5 minutes flat we were all blown to hell. He nearly blew us back home to Australia. And the band played a Waltzing, Matilda, when we stopped to bury our slain. Well, we buried ours and the Turks buried theirs. Then it started all over again. Oh, those that were living just tried to survive in that mad world of blood, death and fire. And for 10 weary weeks I kept myself alive, while around me the corpses piled higher. Then a big Turkish shell knocked me arse overhead, and when I awoke in me hospital bed and saw what it had done, I wished I was dead. I never knew there was worse things than dying. No more I'll go waltzing, Matilda, all around the green bush far and near, where the hump tent and pegs a man needs both legs. No more waltzing, Matilda, for me. They collected the wounded, the crippled, the maimed, and they shipped us back home to Australia. The armless, the legless, the blind and the insane, those proud wounded heroes of Suvla. And when the ship pulled into Circular Quay, I looked at the place where me legs used to be, and thank Christ there was no one they're waiting for me to grieve and to mourn and to pity. And the band played Waltzing Matilda when they carried us down the gangway. Oh, nobody cheered, they just stood there and stared. Then they turned all their faces away. Oh, now, every April, I sit on my porch and I watch the parade pass before me. I see my old comrades, how proudly they march, renewing their dreams of past glories. I see the old men, all tired, stiff and worn, those weary old heroes of a forgotten war. And the young people ask, what are they marching for? And I ask myself the same question. And the band plays the Waltzing Matilda, and the old men still answer the call. But year after year, the numbers get fewer. Someday no one will march there at all. Waltzing Matilda, Waltzing Matilda, who'll come a waltzing Matilda with me? And the ghost may be heard as they march by the billabong. So who'll come a waltzing Matilda with me?
Dublin City in 1913, the boss was rich and the poor were slaves, the women working and children starving. Then on came Larkin like a mighty wave. The workers cringed when the boss man pondered 70 hours was his weekly chore. He asked for little and less was granted, less getting little then he'd ask for more. In the month of August, the bossman told us no union man for him could work. We stood by Larkin and told the bossman we'd fight or die, but we wouldn't shirk. 8 months we fought and 8 months we starved. We stood by Larkin through thick and thin. But foodless homes and the crying of children, it broke our hearts, we just couldn't win. Then Larkin left us, we seemed defeated. The night was black for the working man. But on came Connolly with new hope and counsel. His motto was that we'd rise again. In 1916 in Dublin City, the English soldiers, they burnt our town. They shelled our buildings and shot our leaders. The harp was buried neath the bloody crown. They shot McDermott and Pearson Plunkett. They shot McDonough and Clark the Brave. From bleak Kilmainham they took their bodies to Arbor Hill and a quicklime grave. But last of all of the 7 heroes, I'll sing the praise of James Connolly. The voice of justice, the voice of freedom, he gave his life that men might be free. Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone, as she wheeled her wheelbarrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh. Alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive,
alive-o. She was a fishmonger, and sure 'twas no wonder, for so were her father and mother before, and they wheeled their barrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive-o, alive, alive-o, alive, alive-o, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive-o. Died of a fever, and sure no one could save her, and that was the end of sweet Molly Malone. Now her ghost wheels her barrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive-o, alive, alive-o, alive, alive-o, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive-o, alive, alive-o, alive, alive-o, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive-o. On the 4th of July, 1806, we set sail from the sweet cove of Cork. We were sailing away with a cargo of bricks for the Grand City Hall in New York. 'Twas a wonderful craft, she was rigged fore and aft, and oh how the wild wind drove her. She stood several blasts, she had 27 masts, and they called her the Irish Rover.
We had 1 million bags of the best line of rags, we had 2 million barrels of stone. We had 3 million sides of our blind horses' hides, we had 4 million barrels of bones. We had 5 million hogs, 6 million dogs, 7 million barrels of porter. We had 8 million bales of old nanny ghost tales, and the whole of the Irish Rover.
There was old Mickey Cute, who played hard on his flute when the ladies lined up for a scent. He would tootle with skill for each sparkling quadrille, till the dancers were flutered and bet. With his smart, witty talk, he was cock of the walk, and he rolled the dames under and over. They all knew at a glance when he took up his stance that he sailed in the Irish Rover.
From the banks of the Lee, there was Hogan from Kelty to Hull. There was Johnny Mcgory, who was scared stiff of work, and a man from Westmeath come along. There was Slugger O'Toole, who was drunk as a rule, and fighting Bill Tracy from Dover. And your man, McMahon, from the banks of the Bank, was the skipper on the Irish Rover.
For a sailor, it's always a bother in life. It's so lonesome by night and by day that he longs for the shore and a charming young whore who will melt all his troubles away. All the noise and the rout, swilling, pudging and stout, for him soon is done and over of the love years when the measles broke out and the ship lost its way in the fog. And that whale of a crew was reduced down to two, just myself and the captain's old dog. And the ship struck a rock, oh Lord, what a shock. The boat, it was turned right over, turned 9 times around, and the poor old dog was drowned. And the last of the Irish Rover. Handsome, she is pretty, she is a belle of Dublin City. She is a curtain, 1, 2, 3, pray won't you tell me who is she? Albert Mooney says he loves her, all the boys are fighting for her. Knock at the door and they ring at the bell, saying hello, me true lover, you well. Out she comes as white as snow, rings on her fingers, bells on her toes. Old Johnny Morrissey says she'll die if she doesn't get the fella with the roving eye. Well, tell me ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. They pulled me hair, they stole me comb, alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is the belle of Dublin City. She is a curtain, 1, 2, 3, pray won't you tell me who is she? Let the wind and the rain and the hail blow high and the snow come travelling through the sky. She's as sweet as apple pie, she'll get her own lad by and by. When she gets a lad of her own, she won't tell a man when she gets home. Let them all come as they will, for it's Albert Mooney she loves still. And tell me ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. They pulled me hair, they stole me comb, but that's alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is the belle of Dublin City. She is a curtain, 1, 2, 3, pray won't you tell me who is she? Albert Mooney says he loves her, all the boys are fighting for her. Knock at the door and they ring at the bell, saying hello me true lover, you well. Out she comes as white as snow, rings on her fingers, bells on her toes. Old Johnny Morrissey says she'll die if she doesn't get the fella with the roving eye. I'll tell me ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. They pulled me hair, they stole me comb, but that's alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is the belle of Dublin City. She is a curtain, 1, 2, 3, pray would you tell me who is she?
Oh, poor old Dicey Reilly, she is taken to the sup. Oh, poor old Dicey Reilly, she will never give it up. For it's off each morning to the pop, and then she's in for another little drop. At the heart of the rowl was Dicey Reilly. Was she poor old Dicey Reilly, she is taken to the sup. Poor old Dicey Reilly, she will never give it up. It's off each morning to the pop, and then she's in for another little drop. At the heart of the rowl is Dicey Reilly. Oh, she walks along Fitzgibbon Street with an independent air, and then it's down be Summer Hill, and as the people stare, she says it's nearly 1:30, and it's time I had another little one. At the heart of the rowl was Dicey Reilly. Was she poor old Dicey Reilly, she is taken to the sup. Poor old Dicey Reilly, she will never give it up. It's off each morning to the pop, and then she's in for another little drop. At the heart of the rowl was Dicey Reilly. Oh, long years ago when men were men and fancied May Oblong, or lovely Becky Cooper, or Maggie's Mary Wong, one woman put them all to shame, just one was worthy of the name. and the name of that dame was Dicey Reilly. Was she poor old Dicey Reilly, she has taken to the sup. Poor old Dicey Reilly, she will never give it up. It's off each morning to the pub, and then she's in for another little drop in the heart of the rowl was Dicey Reilly. Oh, but time went catching up with her, like many pretty whores, and it's after you along the street before you're out the doors. Their looks all fade and the balance weighed, but out of all that great brigade, still the heart of the rowl was Dicey Reilly. Was she poor old Dicey Reilly, she has taken to the sup. Poor old Dicey Reilly, she will never give it up. It's off each morning to the pub, and then she's in for another little drop of the heart of the rowl was Dicey Reilly. Was she poor old Dicey Reilly, she has taken to the sup. Poor old Dicey Reilly, she will never give it up. It's off each morning to the pub, and then she's in for another little drop of the heart of the rowl was Dicey Reilly. He was stranded in some tiny town on fair Prince Edward Island, waiting for the ship to come and find him. A one-horse place, a friendly face, some coffee and a tiny trace of fiddling in the distance far behind him. A dime across the counter then, a shy hello, a brand new friend, a walk along the street in the wintry weather. A yellow light, an open door, a welcome friend into the room for more. Soon they're standing there inside together. He said, I heard that tune before somewhere, but I can't remember when. Was it on some other friendly shore? Did I hear it on the wind? Was it written on the sky above? I think I heard it from someone I love, but I never heard it sound so sweet since then. How his feet begin to tap. The little boy says, I'll take your hat. He's caught up in the magic of his smile. Then leaps the heart inside him, when and off across the floor he sent his clumsy body, graceful as a child. He said, there's magic in the fiddler's arms, there's magic in this town. There's magic in the dancers' feet and the way they put them down. Smiling people everywhere, boots and ribbons and locks of hair, laughter and old blue suits and Easter gowns. Well, the sailor's gone, the room is bare, the old piano's sitting there, someone's hat's left hanging on the rack. Some empty chairs, a wooden floor that feels the touch of shoes no more, waiting for the dancers to come back. And the fiddle's in the closet of some daughter of the town. The strings are broken, the bow is gone, and the case is buttoned down. But often on December nights, when the air is cold and the wind is right, for the melody comes passing through this town. I knew Danny Farrell when his football was a can, with his hand-me-downs and welliers and his sandwiches of bran. But now that pavement peasant is a full-grown bitter man,
with all the trials and troubles of his travelling people's clan. He's a loser, a boozer, a me and you user, a raider, a trader, a people police hater, so lonely and only, what you'd call a courier. Still now, Danny Farrell, he's a man. I knew Danny Farrell when he joined the national school. He was lousy at the Gaelic, they called him Don, a fool. He was brilliant in the toss school, or trading objects in the pawn. By the time he was an adult, all his charming ways had gone. I knew Danny Farrell when we queued up for the dole, and he tried to hide the loss of pride that eats away the soul. But mending pots and kettles is a trade lost in the past. There's no handouts here for tinkers, was the answer when he asked. He's a loser, a boozer, a me and you user, a raider, a trader, a people police hater, so lonely and only, what you'd call a courier. Still now, Danny Farrell, he's a man. Oh, I still know Danny Farrell, saw him just there yesterday, drinking methylated spirits with some winos on the quay. Oh, he's 40 going on 80, with his eyes of hope bereft, and he told me this for certain, there's not many of us left. He's a loser, a boozer, a me and you user, a raider, a trader, a people police hater, so lonely and only, what you'd call a courier. Still now, Danny Farrell, he's a man.
Do you remember, Jem, when we first stepped out? You had a pinstripe suit and wouldn't open your mouth. But you really looked lovely, except your shirt was sticking out. Do you remember, Jem? Do you remember? Will I ever forget? The day picking winkles in Dollymount Strand, the tide came in and nearly drowned our gran. We had to push her home in a three-wheel pram. Do you remember, Jem? Do you remember? Will I ever forget? And the day we went to the Phoenix Park to look at the deer and sit on the grass, and you held me hand and asked for a kiss. And I wouldn't give in because I knew it was a mortal sin. Then you said you loved me and promised a ring. Do you remember, Jem? Do you remember? Will I ever forget? And the hoolie in the house on Stephen's night, you met all the relations and nothing went right. You thought you were my little brother because you looked like Stan, except he's bigger and he never ever got sick over gran. Do you remember, Jem? Do you remember? Will I ever forget? And do you remember the day you changed me name and you couldn't find a ring and Gran started praying and she looked in your waistcoat and poked you around, and when she looked through your pockets your trousers fell down? Do you remember, Jem? Do I remember? Will I ever forget? And the singing and dancing back in the house. Come to think of it, you were as quiet as a mouse. But you shouldn't have put the whiskey in Gran's bottle of stout. I thought she was dead when we found her asleep in the wedding bed, but it was gas, it was grand. And you were asleep in my brother's stand. Do you remember, Jem? Do I remember? Will I ever forget? Well, it's 40 years now we've been knocking about. You're much the same, and I haven't changed. Except for me teeth and me own. And you've got gout. But you really look lovely, except your shirt's sticking out. Do you remember, Jem? Do I remember? Will I ever forget?
I wish in vain. I wish I was a youth again, but a youth again I can never be, till apples grow on an ivy tree. I left me father, I left me mother, I left all my sisters and brothers too. I left all my friends and my own religion. I left them all for to follow you. And love is pleasing, and love is teasing, and love is a pleasure when first it's new. But as it grows older, sure the love grows colder, and it fades away like the morning dew. And the sweetest apple is the soonest rotten, and the hottest love is the soonest cold. And what can be cured, love, must be endured, love. But my own true love I will never behold. For love and porter makes a young man older, and love and whiskey makes him old and grey. And what can be cured, love, has to be endured, love. And now I am bound for America. For love is pleasing, and love is teasing, and love is a pleasure when first it's new. And as it grows older, so the love grows colder, and it fades away like the morning dew.
I've won a hero's name with McAlpine and Costain, with Fitzpatrick, Murphy, Ash and Wimpy's gang. I've been off and on the road, on me way to draw the dole, when there's nothing left to do for Johnny Lang. I used to think that God made the mixer pig and hod, so that Paddy might know hell above the ground. I've had gangers big and tough tell me tear it all out rough, when you're building up and tearing England down. In a tunnel underground, a young Limerick man was found. He was built into the new Victoria line. When the bonus gang had passed, sticking through the concrete cast was the face of little Charlie Joe Devine. And the ganger man McGurk sent big Paddy H to work, when the gas main burst and he flew off the ground. They swear, he said, don't slack, I'll not be there until I'm back. Keep on building up and tearing England down. I remember Carrier Jack with his heart upon his back. We swore he'd one day set the world on fire, but his face they've never seen since his shovel it cut clean through the middle of the big high-tension wires. Oh, I saw old Balls McCall from the big flyover fall into a concrete mixer spinning round. Though it was not his intent, he got a fine head of cement when he was building up and tearing England down. I was on the Hydro Dam on the day that Jack McCann got the better of his stammer in a week. He fell from the shuttering jam, and that poor old stuttering man, he was never ever more inclined to speak. Oh, no more like Robin Hood when he roamed through Cricklewood or dance around the pubs in Camden Town. Now let no man complain, sure no Pat can die in vain when he's building up and tearing England down. So come all you navvies bold, who may think that English gold is just waiting to be taken from each sod. Or the likes of you and me could ever get an OBE or a knighthood for good service to the hod. They've the concrete master race to keep you in your place, and the ganger man to kick you to the ground. If you ever try to take a part of what the bosses make when you're building up and tearing England down.
Have you heard of Phil the Fluter from the town of Ballymuck? The times was going hard with him, in fact the man was broke. So he sent an invitation to his neighbours one and all, as how he'd like their company that evening at a ball. And when writing out, he was careful to suggest to them that if they found a hat of his convenient at the door, the more they put in whenever he requested them, the better would the music be for battering the floor. With a toot on the flute and a twiddle on the fiddle, oh, hopping in the middle like a heading on the griddle, oh, up, down, hand down across and hit the wall. You hadn't be the gaiety at Phil the Fluter's ball. There was Mr. Dennis Doherty who kept the running dog. There was little crooked Paddy from the Turloughet ball. There were boys from every barony and girls from every art, and the beautiful Miss Brady's in their private house and cart. And along with them came bouncing Mrs. Cafferty. Little Mickey Mulligan was also to the fore. Rose Suzanne and Margaret O'Rafferty, the flower of Art McGullion and the pride of Petrobor. With a toot on the flute and a twiddle on the fiddle, oh, hopping in the middle like a heading on the griddle, oh, up, down, hands around and crossing to the wall. You hadn't breathed the gaiety at Phil the Fluter's ball. First little Mickey Mulligan got up to show them how, and then the way the Cafferty steps out and takes a bow. I dance you off your legs, you see, as sure as you were born. Phil only make the piper play, the hair was in the corn. So Phil plays up to the best of his ability. The ladies and the gentlemen begin to do their share. Faith and Mick, it's you that has agility. Be gobbing Mrs. Cafferty, you're lapping like a hare. With a toot on the flute and a twiddle on the fiddle, oh, hopping in the middle like a heading on the griddle, oh, up, down, hand around across and hit the wall. You hadn't breathed the gaiety at Phil the Fluter's ball. Then Phil the Fluter tipped the wing to little crooked Pat. I think it's nearly trying to see for passing round the hat. So Paddy passed the carbine round and looking very cute. Said you have to pay the piper when the cupid's on the flute. Then all joined in with the greatest joviality, covered in the buckle and the shuffle and the cut. Jigs were danced of the very finest quality, with a bet the company had handled in the foot. With a toot on the flute and a twiddle on the fiddle, oh, hopping in the middle like a heading on the griddle, oh, up, down, hand around across and hit the wall. You hadn't breathed the gaiety at Phil the Fluter's ball.
At the turning of the century, I was a boy of 5. Me father went to fight the Boers, and he never came back alive. Oh, me mother was left to bring us up, and no charity she'd seek. So she washed and scrubbed and scraped along on 7 and 6 a week. When I was 12, I left the school, and I went to find a job. And with growing kids, me ma was glad of the extra couple of bob. I'm sure that longer schooling would have stood me in good stead, but you can't afford refinements when you're struggling for your bread. And when the Great War came along, I didn't hesitate. I took the royal shilling and went off to do me bit. We fought in mud and tears and blood, 3 years or thereabout. till I copped some gas in Flanders and was invalided out. And when the war was over and we'd finished with the guns, we got back into civvies 'cause we thought the fighting done. We'd won the right to live in peace, but we didn't have such luck, for soon we found we had to fight for the right to go to work. In 26, the general strike saw me out on the streets, and I'd a wife and kids by then, and their needs I had to meet. Oh, the brave new world was coming, and the brotherhood of man. And when the strike was over, we were back where we began. Oh, I struggled through the 30s, out of work now and again. I saw the black shirts marching, and the things they did in Spain. I brought me kids up decent, and I taught them wrong from right. Oh, but Hitler was the boy that came, and he taught them how to fight. Me daughter was a land girl. She got married to a Yank, and they gave me son a medal for stopping one of Rommel's tanks. He was wounded just before the end, and he convalesced in Rome. And he went and married an Italian nurse, and he never bothered to come home. Oh, my daughter writes me once a month a cheerful little note about their coloured tellies and the other things they've got. They've got a son, a likely lad. He's nearly 21. Well, they tell me now he's being called up to fight in Vietnam. Oh, we're living on the pension now, and it doesn't go too far. Not much to show for a life that seems like one long bloody war. And when you think of all the wasted lives, it makes you want to cry. I'm not sure how to change things, but by Christ, we'll have to try.
Oh, the first of me downfall, I set out the door. I straight made me way on for Carrick shore. Going out be Rathlronan to us late in the night. Going out the west gate for to view the castle light. Rattly fall, the little eye, rattly fall, the little there, oh. I went to the Tolsel to see the big lamp, and who should I meet but a bloody big tramp. I kindly stepped over, and to him I said, will you kindly direct me to where I'll get a bed? Rattly fall, the little eye, rattly fall, the little arrow. 'Twas then he directed me down to Cook's Lane, to where old Buck St. John kept an old sleeping cage. Hung out o'er the door was a small piece of board, hung out on 2 nails with a short piece of cord. Rattly fall, the little eye, rattly fall, the little arrow. Well, I looked up and down till I found out the door, and a queerer old household should I ne'er saw before. Then the missus came out, and these words to me said, if you give me 3 coppers, sure I'll give you a bed. Rattly fall, the little eye, rattly fall, the little arrow. Well, I then stood aside with me back to the wall, and the next thing I saw was an old cobbler's stall. And there was the cobbler, and he mending his brogues, with his hammers and pincers all laid in a row. Rattly fall, the little eye, rattly fall, the little arrow. Then she brought me upstairs and she put out the light, and in less than 5 minutes I had to show fight. And less than 5 more when the story was best, the police came around me and brought me a curse. Rattly fall, the little eye, rattly fall, the little arrow. 'Twas all round me body they formed the march, 'Twas all round me body they played the death march, but the bloody old major gave me such a pick that he nearly made way with the half of me hip when he fell, the little light and he fell, the little arrow. Now I'm going to me study these lines to pen down, and if any poor traveller should e'er come to town, if any poor traveller be knighted like me, beware of Buck St. John and his black cavalry, Landley fall, the little eye, Landley fall, the little arrow. Oh, Father dear, and I often hear you speak of Erin's Isle. Her lofty scenes, her valleys green, her mountains rude and wild. They say it is a lovely land wherein a prince might dwell. Then why did you abandon it? Oh, the reason to me tell. My son, I loved my native land with energy and pride, till a blight came over all my crops, and my sheep and cattle died. The rents and taxes were to pay, and I could not them redeem, and that's the cruel reason I left old Skibbereen. 'Tis well I do remember the bleak November day, when the bailiff and the landlord came to drive us all away. They set the roof on fire with their cursed English spleen, and that's another reason I left old Skibbereen. Oh, your mother, too, God rest her soul, lay on the snowy ground. She fainted in her anguishing, seeing the desolation round. She never rose, but passed away from life to immortal dreams, and that's another reason I left old Skibbereen. Oh, you were only 2 years old, and feeble was your frame. I could not leave you with my friends, for you bore your father's name. I wrapped you in my coat the more at the dead of the night unseen, and I heaved a sigh, and I said goodbye to dear old Skibbereen. Oh, well, Father dear, and the day will come when on vengeance we will call, and Irishmen both stout and tall will rally unto the call. I'll be the man to lead the van beneath the flag of green, and loud and high we'll raise the cry, revenge for Skibbereen. Now when that I was married, and in my marriage bed, there came a bold sea captain, and he stood at my bed head, saying, arise, arise, young wedded man, and come along with me to the Lowlands of Holland for to fight the enemy. Now Holland is a lovely land, and in it there grows fine grain. It is a place of residence for soldiers to remain. Now the sugar cane grows plentiful, the tea grows on each tree. I only had the one true love, and now he's gone far away from me. Said the a mother to her daughter, leave off your sore lament. Is there ne'er a man in Ireland that will be your heart content? Hey, there's men enough in Ireland, but alas, there is none for me. Since high winds and stormy seas have haunted me, love and me, I'll wear no shoes all on my feet, no comb all in my hair. I'll wear no handkerchief around my neck for to shade my beauty fair. And neither will I marry until the day I die, since high winds and stormy seas have haunted me, love and I.
Oh, down in Bombo Lane, there is a big fat woman, and if you want to know her name, you have to pay a shilling. Soldiers 2 and 6, sailors 3 and a penny, big fat man £2.10, little kids a penny. There were 3 lovely lassies from Kimmage,
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 from Kimmage.
and whenever there was a bit of a scrimmage, sure I was the toughest of all.
Sure I was the toughest of all.
Well, the cause of the row is Joe Cashin,
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 Joe Cashin.
where he told me he thought I looked smashing
Smashing
at a dance in St. Anthony's Hall.
at a dance in St. Anthony's Hall.
Well, the other 2 young ones was flippin',
Flippin',
they were 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 flippin'.
when they saw me and Joe and we trippin'
Trippin'
to the strains of the Tennessee Waltz,
to the strains of the Tennessee Waltz.
when he gets a few jars he goes frantic,
Frantic,
goes frantic,
goes frantic,
goes frantic,
goes frantic,
goes frantic,
goes frantic.
but he's tall and he's dark and romantic,
Romantic,
and I love him in spite of it all.
and I love him in spite of it all.
Well, he told me he thought we should marry,
Marry,
should marry,
should marry,
should marry,
should marry,
should marry.
should marry,
He said it was foolish to tarry,
till tarry.
so I lent him the price of the ring.
So I lent him the price of the ring.
Well, me dad said he'd give us a present,
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 a present.
a stool and a lousy stuffed pheasant,
Stuffed pheasant,
and a picture to hang on the wall.
and a picture to hang on the wall.
I went down to the tenancy section in the corporation, the section,
That section,
oh the section,
that section,
oh the section,
that section.
the TD just before the election
Election,
said he'd get me a house near me ma,
said he'd get me a house near me ma.
well we're getting a house, the man said
He said it,
oh he said
he said it,
oh he said
he said it,
oh he said
he said it.
when I've 5 or 6 kids to me credit,
Me credit.
in the meantime we'll live with me ma.
In the meantime, we'll live with me ma.
Y vendo dos ojos negros, quien me los quieren comprar, que los venden por embusteros, porque me han pagado mal. A veces dan confianza, a veces me hacen dudar, a veces dan esperanza, y no sé cómo se acertar. Yo me ma quisiera, más te amo yo. Y todas las noches las paso suspirando por tu amor. Los ojos de mi morena, tan negros como el carbón, me tienen como en cadenas, atados mi corazón. A veces dan confianza, a veces me hacen dudar, a veces dan esperanza y no sé cómo se acertar. Yo más quisiera, más te amo yo, y todas las noches las paso suspirando por tu amor. Cada vez que siento pena, voy a la orilla del mar a pedirte las olas si han visto a mi amor. A mí me han dicho las olas que nadie ha pasado por aquí y voy a gastar la vida en busca de mi amor. Yo más quisiera, más te amo yo, y todas las noches las paso suspirando por tu amor.
There was an old woman and she lived in the wood.
Weila, Weila,
There was an old woman and she lived in the wood,
down by the river Salia.
She had a baby 3 months old.
Weila, Weila,
She had a baby 3 months old,
down by the river Salia.
She had a penknife long and sharp.
Weila, Weila,
She had a penknife long and sharp,
down by the river Salia.
She stuck the penknife in the baby's heart.
Weila, Weila,
Stuck the penknife in the baby's heart,
down by the river Salia.
There were 3 low knocks coming knocking on the door.
Weila, Weila,
3 low knocks coming knocking on the door,
down by the river Salia.
There were 2 policemen and a man.
Weila, Weila,
2 policemen and a man,
down by the river Salia.
They took her away and they put her into jail.
Weila, Weila,
They took her away and they put her into jail,
down by the river Salia.
They put the rope around her neck.
Weila, Weila,
They put the rope around her neck,
down by the river Salia.
They pulled the rope and she got hung.
Weila, Weila,
Pulled the rope and she got hung,
down by the river Salia.
Well, that was the end of the woman in the wood.
Weila, Weila,
And that was the end of the baby too, down by the river Salia. Of all the money that ever I had, I spent it in good company. And of all the harm that ever I done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done, for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass, Good night and joy be with you all. Oh, of all the comrades that ever I had, they are sorry for my going away. And of all the sweethearts that ever I had, they would wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I gently rise and I softly call, good night and joy be with you all. Oh, if I had money enough to spend and leisure time to sit a while, there is a fair maid in this town that sorely has my heart beguiled. Her rosy cheeks and ruby lips, I own she has my heart in thrall. Then fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all.
Thank you. Well, this next song is a song about Irish people coming over to England to work. And during the period 1939 to 1945, there was a very big war going on all over the world. They called it World War II everywhere, except, of course, in Ireland, where they called it the emergency. And during this emergency, England suffered a great deal from air raids and all that stuff. So they sent for our fellas to come over and help to rebuild essential services like houses and roads and pubs and things. And while they were here, I suppose they helped to make England into a fit place for Irish people to live in. a lot of them went to work for a man by the name of Mr. McAlpine, as he was then called. But he's done away with so many paddies in the meantime that the Queen has made a night out of him, I'm told. And this is about him and his little army. It was in the year of 39, when the sky was full of lead, when Hitler was heading for Poland, and Paddy for Holyhead. Come all you pincher laddies, and you long-distance men, don't ever work for McAlpine, for Wimpy or John Lang. I'll stand behind a mixer till your skin is turned to tan, and they'll say good on you, Paddy, with your boat fair in your hand. Well, the crack was good in Cricklewood, and they wouldn't leave the crown. With glasses flying and biddies crying, sure Paddy was going to town. Oh, mother dear, I'm over here, and I'm never coming back. What keeps me here is the rake of beer, the ladies and the crack. I come from County Kerry, the land of eggs and bacon. You think I'd eat your fish and chips? I did, you're mistaken. Oh, as down that land came McAlpine man, the shovel slung behind them. Was in the pub, they drank the sob, and up in the spike you'll find them. They sweated blood and they washed down mud with pints and quarts of beer. And now we're on the road again when McAlpine's Fusiliers. I've stripped to the skin with a darky fin, way down on the Isle of Grain. With the horse-faced tool, and I knew the rule, no money if you stop for rain. When McAlpine's gone with a well-filled hod, your shoulders cut to bits and seared. And woe to he that went to look for tea when McAlpine's Fusiliers. I remember the day that the Bear O'Shea fell into the concrete snares. What the horse-face said when he saw him dead when it wasn't what the rich call prayers. I'm a navvy short with the one retort that reached unto my ears. When the going is rough, when you must be tough, and the alpine fusiliers. I've worked till the sweat that has had me bet with Russian, Czech and Pole. On shuttering jams up in the hydro dams or underneath the Thames in a hole. I've grafted hard and I've got me cards and many a ganger's fist across me ears. If you're proud of your life, don't join by Christ with the Alpine's Fusiliers.
Ronnie Drew.